All right, everyone, we've got good news here, which is that the U.S. will finally be out of Afghanistan by September. Now, this is a supposedly. Keep in mind who you're dealing with. On one side, you've got the Taliban and shit like that. They're not known for necessarily always keeping to their arrangements. Neither is the United States. And on the other side, you got Biden. Biden isn't in charge of this, though. This plan was initially brokered by Donald Trump, so I'm looking at MSM coverage of the Afghanistan withdrawal arrangement. It's good. I mean, we're holding roughly to it. But first and foremost, it was supposed to be May, not September. I have no clue why we're remaining in the country for several extra months. It doesn't make any sense. And number two, Trump is the peacemaker. This is not Biden's withdrawal plan. This is essentially the Trump-Pompeo plan pushed back a few months. And yet the MSM's largely not talking about Biden the peacemaker, yay, the forever war is over, and we'll wave the flag and Star-Spangled Banner. They're going to do a lap and run it into the ground, praising Biden, and as soon as we withdraw, which is good, again, it's going to be a big celebration and lots of pomp and circumstance bullshit, and they're going to lavish praise on Biden to buff up his weak approval and try to pretend like he was the mastermind of this plan, while simultaneously muzzling Trump as much as they can to keep him from pointing out to people, hey, this looks mysteriously like my plan recycled and pushed back for 4 months. Interesting how someone else is getting credit for it. It's magical how the MSM caused that to happen. But people need to understand, this is the Trump withdrawal. Trump ended the war in Afghanistan. Biden simply inked the final piece of paper that other people had already dreamed up months before he entered the presidency. So this is good, but then you've got another problem. You've got a situation, it's a no-win situation, has been since we went into Afghanistan. They call it the graveyard of nations for a reason. If you stay in, people are taking pot shots at you, it becomes a diplomatic crisis, and it's expensive. Of course, this is an inland, landlocked nation all the way across the world from the United States. It requires significant resources and also a significant amount of diplomacy to keep the Afghan government allowing us to be there without saying, get the fuck out. They want us gone at this point. We were dealing with the Taliban and tribal warlords almost more than with Afghanistan's own supposedly secular government. The second you leave, though, it potentially falls apart. Then you've got the embarrassment that comes with spending 20 fucking years in a nation and seeing it all pissed away in a few short months. The problem is that's a better than 50-50 chance that happens within a couple of years. Oddly enough, during Biden's asterisk presidency. It's going to go off in his lap like a fucking turd. Afghanistan will probably recede back into darkness and barbarism and tribal warlorddom, and ISIS and Al-Qaeda will be there. Al-Qaeda tentatively working with the U.S. for a while there just because ISIS scared the shit out of them, which was the most bizarre thing ever. It's like the United States partnering with Osama bin Laden or something. Didn't we learn our fucking lesson the first time in the 80s? It's a nuts. Being there is nuts. We never should have gone there in the first place. Osama was over in Pakistan, a nation that supposedly is our friend. He didn't stick around in Afghanistan. He was from Saudi Arabia anyway. Nobody wanted to talk about that. Need I remind you that it was Trump that declassified the missing 9/11 report pages too, just so that we're all aware of who actually gave a shit about the United States and our troops. We just went through a presidency where an ambassador was directly misleading. I mean, an intel contractor was directly misleading the commander-in-chief about troop totals in Syria. You had this agreement that was finally hammered out, and we're supposed to be out in a couple of weeks. Really, we're supposed to leave Afghanistan in May. Now it's September. Why do I get the feeling there's at least a little bit of a possibility that before September hell breaks loose and Biden says, well, we were going to leave, but, now we have to stay through the end of next year. And, the Afghan government doesn't want us here, so, now they're hostile too. That could happen. Or as soon as we leave, Russia comes in, because, they're actually a bit closer, just so you're aware geographically. Hey, we can prop up your government. Look, all these, the U.S. left a mess behind. We can help clean it up. Look at how well we did in Syria. Our troops, will go and massacre some of the warlords and help you solidify power. Or it could fall into a sort of dictatorship. If you look at that particular area of the world, there aren't a lot of fully functioning democracies, just so we're aware. We're trying to create one artificially in an extremely economically backwards nation with very little infrastructure and urbanization, with a hell of a lot of tribal and zealot movements. It just doesn't really make sense. No, nobody conquers Afghanistan, nobody wants to settle it, and there's never been a permanent inhabitation of any note there for the most part, simply because of geography at some points. It's basically one giant mountain and steppe, not exactly highly arable. Why do you think that all the world's opium comes from there? There's nothing else to do. What else are you going to fucking do? See, you're not allowed to grow weed, probably. The Taliban would come and kill you. Can't have alcohol. It's nuts. And then Biden's getting credit for the withdrawal. He didn't broker it. Trump and the Taliban brokered it, and he sent Pompeo over. This was done. This is like a year ago that he did that. The fuck is Biden responsible for it for? MSM? That's about all. Peace out.